Okay, Pastor Paul has been bringing a series, I guess. I don't know whether he intends to continue it, but he preached a few weeks ago on the call to stay. And then last week, he preached about the call to shine. And so I'm just picking up on that this morning. And my message today is going to be called to run. Called to run. Now, Pastor Paul doesn't know I'm doing this, and I'm just hoping that his next message in his series is not going to be called to Run. That would be funny. He'd start off and you'd all say, you can't do it, Pastor Alex has already done that one. You wouldn't do that to him, would you? I tell you what, if next time he gets up to speak and he says, I'm going to preach on call to run, just pretend, okay? Just humor him. All right, call to run. I've got a scripture from 2 Samuel chapter 18. You don't really need to know any of the background of this. Then Joab said to an Ethiopian, run. When you tell an Ethiopian to run, they can run. Those are the guys who do the 10,000 meters. Those are the guys who just run and they keep on running and they just keep on going. And they just are trained. They're all muscle and sinew and everything. Run. The Ethiopian bowed down before Joab and ran off. Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok. Zadok was a priest. So Ahimaaz is the son of the priest. He's in the priestly line. He again said to Joab, come what may, please let me run behind the Ethiopian. But Joab replied, my son, why do you want to go? You don't have any news that will bring you a reward. It's not worth it. Why do you want to run all of that way? He said, come what may, I want to run. So Joab said, run. Then Ahimaaz ran by way of the plain and outran the Ethiopian. When you get something in your spirit that says, come what may, I'm going to run, you can outrun an Ethiopian. You can outrun the best in the world. You can overtake those, and I bet that Ethiopian was surprised that this priest got there before him. I want you to turn to the person next to you, and I want you to say, come what may, I want to run. With a little more enthusiasm. Come what may, I want to run. That's better. At the end of his life, the Apostle Paul was in prison and he was still writing letters. He was still going. He still knew he had a purpose. But he had finished his life. He knew he was at the end, and he said this in the next slide, if you'd bring that up for me. He said, I have fought the good fight. I have run the race. Life is a race. That might be news to you. It might be good news or it might be bad news to you. But life, from God's perspective and from the Bible's perspective, is a race. Paul did not say, I've fought the fight and I've had a good innings. Because life is not a game of cricket. Paul did not say, I've plodded along and I've strolled my way through, and now it's my time to shuffle off this mortal coil. Because that is Shakespeare, not the Bible. And life is not a plod, and life is not an amble, and it's not a shuffle. It's a race. It's a race. Whatever it feels like to you, God says it's a race. And that's a perspective that I think we need to bring ourselves back to. That's a perspective I want to bring us back to today. It's a race to redeem time. It's a race to seize every day. It's a race to seize every opportunity. The opportunity to speak to people, the opportunity to see Jesus at work through you, the opportunity to see lives changed, the opportunities to speak up, the opportunities to fight for justice, the opportunities to do good, the opportunities to show mercy and compassion. Life is full of opportunities. And they are whizzing past, moment by moment and day by day. Paul says in 1 Corinthians 7 and 29, he says, what I mean, brothers and sisters, is that the time is short. The time is short. You may think you've got your whole life ahead of you. You may think there's plenty of time to consider Jesus and to put some priorities there. But first, I'm going to live my life. But Paul says life is short. The time is short. I've got a day ahead of me, as far as I know. I've got this Sunday ahead of me. I've got a week ahead of me. And at the end of this week, that time will be sealed. It will be gone. It will be non-retrievable. I cannot go back there. Whatever I did, I can't change it. It's settled for eternity. It's in the record books. Whatever I did and whatever I didn't do. Whatever priorities I made, whatever things I let go. Whether I regret what I did or whether I feel that I used it well and made the most of it. Time is running away with you all of the time. What did you do with your time? How did you live that week? Did you live it purposefully, intentionally, with eternity in mind? Or did you just let stuff happen? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Did you spend your whole week reacting to stuff? Or sometimes overreacting to stuff? Or worrying? Or stressing? Or just occupied with useless things? See, Paul, the Apostle Paul, was not going to let opportunities pass him by. He wasn't going to let stuff just happen to him. He knew he was in a race. He was purposeful. He was intentional. He had focus. He had aim. And because of that, he had restraint on his lives. You know that famous verse that says, where there is no vision, the people perish. And in a more accurate translation, it says, where there is no vision, where people have no vision, the people cast off restraint. When you have no focus and no aim in your life, there are no restraints, there are no boundaries that you set for yourself, but you just go with whatever happens, whatever somebody suggests to you. Yeah, let's do that. Whatever anybody says, let's go with that. There is no restraint, there's nothing in you that says, no, I can't do that. I might like to do that, but I can't do that because I can't afford to do that. I can't let myself get distracted with that. That for me would be a distraction because I have got a purpose and I cannot be taken up with that. It's going to hold me back. It's going to pull me in and I don't want to be pulled in by it. So that's not who I am. That's not my purpose. That's restraint. When you've got vision, you've got restraint. When you've got an aim, you've got boundaries. When you've got a focus, there are certain things that are out of bounds for you to do. The priests in the Old Testament, there were certain things that they couldn't do. There were certain laws that applied to them and didn't apply to the rest of the people. But God said to the priest, because you are my servants, you are called to serve me. There's certain things that you can't do. Certain things that are available to all of the rest of Israel are not available to you. Now you are a holy nation, a royal priesthood, called, separated, set apart for God. That means there's going to be restraints on your life if you're going to run that race. There's going to be a focus, there's going to be an aim, there's going to be boundaries for you. Look at what the Apostle Paul says in 1 Corinthians chapter 9. Just bring that one up for me if you would. Do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one gets the prize? Run in such a way as to get the prize. Paul's not being too theological here. He's not talking about heavenly rewards and only one person's going to get it. Don't dig too deep on that. He's just laying down a principle that when you run in a race, there's only going to be one winner. So if you want to run well, you've got to have in mind, I am going to run to win. I'm not running to come third. I'm not running to come fifth. I'm certainly not running to come last. I'm running to win. I'm running to beat all of these other guys behind me. That's my purpose. That's my intention. Paul says you've got to have that intention as well. If you're going to run the race that's set before you, everyone who competes in the games goes into strict training. They do it to get a crown that will not last. But we do it to get a crown that will last forever. Therefore, I do not run like someone running aimlessly. I do not fight like a boxer beating the air. We call it shadow boxing, don't we? When you're just punching away and putting effort and energy into something that has no substance. Let me say that again. When you are putting effort and energy and intention into something that actually has no substance, it's pointless. There's no benefit to me punching the air. Nothing happens. And our lives can be like that. I know there's such a thing as relaxation, and that's fine. There is times when we need to chill out. There is times when we need to just zone out and do something that might be not particularly profitable in any way, but it's profitable because it's relaxation for us. There's times when we need that. But I'm talking about your whole life. I'm talking about your purpose. I'm talking about your aim. I'm talking about your focus. I'm talking about how you see your life. Because there is a greatness of purpose that is available to you that you can attach yourself to. Something that will last. Something that has eternal value. And I believe that one of the things that I'm here to do this morning is to come against low expectations. To come against low expectations of yourself. Because if you don't expect much to come out of your life, if you think it's only little me in my little corner, if you're thinking like that, I want to tell you that you have it so wrong. If you think that you're not up to much, if you don't think that your life is going to account to much, I want to tell you the devil is a liar, and that is a lie from the pit of hell. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you've been. I don't care what has happened. There is greatness in you because God is in you. If he who raised up Jesus from the dead lives in you, how can you say it's only little me and what can I do? And don't expect much of yourself. There is great potential to do greater things. Jesus, your Lord, said, greater things shall you do, because I go to the Father. And I want to tell you that your potential is not limited because of things that you have done in the past. There are some people, I was reading a prayer request that came into us this morning from somebody who said, my daughter really wants to get back to God and to meet with God, but she feels she can't because of what she'd done in her life. Her past, her history was holding her back and making her feel, you can't, you're not worthy, you've blown it, you're limited now. I wanted to tell you that is a lie. You are not limited because of what has happened in your past. Not at all. You may think, when you were first a Christian, you were all out for God and God laid out a whole plan for you and said, I'm able to do more than you can ask or imagine. And then something happened to you and you blew it and circumstances got in the way and I don't know, something just happened. And because of that, now you don't feel anymore that there's that great potential anymore. You feel as if God has just drawn everything close in and said, well, now you've only got 10% of the potential that you once had. And now I can only use you a fraction of the amount that I was going to use you because of what you've done, because you blew it, because of that. It's limiting you. Some of you think like that. And I am coming against that in the name of Jesus, because that is a lie from hell. Because everything, no matter what you've done, no matter what your history is, no matter, God is the God who can go back into your past. And if your life was shattered into 1,000 pieces, God can take every one of those pieces, and He knows the shape of it, and put it back together into something that is amazing and better than you ever thought it could be. Whoever you are, wherever you've been, your best days are ahead of you. Caleb was 85 years old when all that he'd done in the record that we have of Scripture is make a good decision with Joshua when he was 45 or whatever age he was, and gone with those spies and came back with a good report. That was his moment. And then after that, he just went through the wilderness like everybody else. But at the age of 85, he said, my greatest moment is still before me. And he went to Joshua and he said, give me this mountain. I'm going to take it. My eye is not dim. I'm as strong today as I was 40 years ago and more. And my best days are to come. And I am going to do something that I've never done before. I'm going to achieve something that I've never achieved before. No matter what my past, no matter what's been before, I am going to achieve more, because your best days are before you, and you're not limited by your past. It's just a word for somebody. Somebody, I just need to batter that door down. There's a stronghold there. There's beliefs that you have, and I am coming against that. It does not matter. God has the same amazing potential and future for you that He always had. It's never changed. Okay, no idea where I am now. The worst thing that you can do is to believe little of yourself. There is a high cost to low expectations. That is a tweetable moment. There is a high cost to low expectations. There's less than 140 characters there. There is a high cost to low expectations. If you put low expectations upon yourself, then only you can face the consequences for living with those low expectations, because God's got high expectations for you, and God's got a high enabling for you to live that life. Do you remember the parable of the talents, and the man who was given 1 talent, and he saw the man who was given 5 talents going out and using that talent and bringing it back, and bold and brave, and the man who was given 2 talents, the same thing, and he looked at his 1 talent. And you know what? It wasn't to do with what he was given. It was to do with what he thought of himself. It wasn't to do with the fact that, oh, I've only got 1 talent. Let me tell you, 1 talent is more than enough. 1 talent, we're talking about an amount of money that was thousands and thousands of pounds. We're talking about a huge investment that was given to him. But because he looked at himself and he said, I can't do it. That's too much for me. I am not up to that. That's what let him down. And he didn't fulfill his potential. 1 talent is more than enough. You know, I have the feeling, I've done this once before in another church, and I've asked people, if you were to say that you were a 5 talent person, or a 2 talent person, or a 1 talent person, what would you say? And you know, invariably, I think if I did it to you today, the majority of you would say, I think I'm just a 1 talent person. Because we tend to think little of ourselves. Oh, the 5 talent people, they're God's mighty generals. They're the ones who are on the platform. They're the evangelists. They're the pastors. They're the mighty men and women of God. They're the ones who are doing. Just one. Just, can I say, be careful of that mentality. Because God may be saying from heaven, you are a 5. But whether you're a 5, or whether you're a 2, or whether you're a 1, it's nothing to do with it. They're all big amounts. God gives to each according to his ability, but God expects a return. And you need to think of yourself. That one talent man needed to rise up with his one talent and say, I don't care who's got 5, I don't care who's got 2, I've got 1, and I'm going to use my 1. And I'm going to run with my 1. Because life is a race. Come what may, I want to run. That's the attitude that we need. You know, there are some people who are running fast. And they may have only been saved a year or 6 months, but they are fast tracking because they are running. They're redeeming the time. I can think of a few in this church. I can think of names right now, and they've not been saved now, and they are going like the clappers, and they are overtaking some of you. And that challenges me. When I see somebody going and overtaking, I don't like that. I do not like that. That is a challenge to me. I think, how come they have got that spirit and drive and energy, and where has mine gone? I need to pick up the pace. I'm in a race, and if you're in a race, you want to win. There are people that they're young, they've got passion, they've got vision, they've got focus, they've got urgency, and they've got a destination, and they're going somewhere. There are some things in life that will make you run. It could be running for the bus, because if you don't get that bus, you know you're going to be late for work. So it doesn't matter whether you've got to get a sweat on, you are going to run for that bus because there's urgency. You may be in a situation like Joseph found himself with Potiphar's wife, where she wanted to put him in a compromising situation. You may be in a situation where there's a lot of pressure on you to do something that is wrong or corrupt. Maybe I'm speaking to somebody in a situation right now, and it's you in that situation. There's pressure on you to involve yourself, to join in with something that is wrong or it's corrupt. And when you get to that point, there is only one thing to do before you get in big trouble, and that is what Joseph did. Run! Run! Get out of that situation. You might know you're in the wrong company, you're hanging out with the wrong people. It may be attractive to a certain part of you, but you know it's wrong, and you know it's not doing you any good, and you know it's not going to lead you anywhere good. You just need to take courage, make a decision, and turn around 180 degrees and run. Run out of that and start running in the right direction. Run after something different. Or it could be excitement that makes you run. I remember my first girlfriend. Sorry, love. I used to run. It's all right. You weren't even born, love. It's before your time. I used to run round to the house, not walk, because I was excited. Not excited anymore about it, but run round. There are things in your life that will make you run. And I just want to give you this morning a perspective on life that will encourage you to run, not stroll, not amble, not plod your way through life. It's a race. Hebrews 12 verse 1 says, seeing that we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance. Keep going, stamina, the race marked out for us. There is a race that is marked out for you. Every footprint. God calls your life a race. And there are times when you just need to strip back and cut back and get rid of baggage and stuff that is hindering you and holding you down. Paul says no soldier gets entangled in civilian affairs. And you're in the Lord's army. There are things that other people can get on with, but it's not right for you because it's going to distract you, it's going to weigh you down, it's going to hold you back, and you're not going to win your race with all of that stuff. God calls your life a race. What are you going to call it? You choose what to name things. God gives you the power to name things in your life. And whatever you call it is what it's going to be. God said to Adam, here's the animals. Give them names. Whatever you call it, that's what it's going to be. But that's not just a story about giraffes and donkeys. Whatever you call it is what it's going to be. So you call it a problem, or you can call it an opportunity. You can call it a loss, or you can call it a seed. You can call it a disaster, or you can call it a launching pad. It's all to do with the way that you see it. You choose what you get to magnify, and you choose what you get to minimize. How are you going to see things? The way that you see it determines the way that you live it. We minimize or we maximize things, different things, out of the same circumstances, depending on how we see it. 10 spies went into the promised land and they maximized giants and walled cities and problems and difficulties and every reason why they could not go into that land. 2 spies and they minimized God. 2 spies went in and they minimized the giants and they maximized God. And they said, yeah, there are giants. Yeah, we don't deny that. There are walled cities. Yeah, there are things to overcome. But we can overcome them because our God is with us. It all depends on how you see it. Same circumstances, different perspective. There are many times when you will rise or fall, not on your circumstances that happen to you, but on how you see those circumstances. You see problems or you see opportunities. You can fail and fall not because of the circumstances, but because you talk yourself down and you talk yourself out of what could be and what could take you to your next level. It all depends on your attitude. I was telling a story in the 9 o'clock service, and in my notes it says, I lost my car keys recently. And when I was telling it, I thought, hang on a minute. That's not actually the truth. Number one, this happened a week or so ago. Number one, they weren't my car keys. They were Nancy's car keys. Number two, I didn't lose them. They got lost. Okay? There is a difference. I don't know whether this has ever happened to you. Something gets lost, and somehow it just seems to come down. Bing. Well, number one, they're not my car keys. They're Nancy's car keys. Number two, I did not lose them. They just got lost. But somehow it seemed to land on me. You've been there. You know what I'm talking about. I got depressed. You know, car keys, we don't have a spare for Nancy's car key. So if it is lost, that's those radio car keys, that's a lot of money to replace those. You go down to the garage and they take a look at it. You've had that look before, haven't you? And I could see that in my mind. I got worried. I got frustrated, I got annoyed, I got mad. I texted Jesse. I said, Jesse, have you got Mum's car keys? He texted back, said no. Okay. I'm eliminating everything. I retraced every step. I turned the place upside down. I looked in every bin. I did everything except pray. Calls himself a pastor. Gets in a situation like that, forgets to pray. I could have done it so differently. I was mad, I was sad, and I was bad. There's a testimony for you. I could have just trusted and believed that my God is a good God who hears my prayer, and he's got angels looking for those keys from the moment that they were lost. I could have had praise and thanksgiving in my heart, even though even though Nancy had lost her keys. Because God is still a good God, even though the keys are lost. All the time, God is good. He's still a faithful God. He's still a saving God. He's still a gracious God. But I chose to let bad attitudes take hold of me. I found my keys. I found Nancy's keys. Guess who had them? Jesse. The guy who texted me back and said, "No, I've not got them." And I went through 2 hours of hell after that boy texted me to try to find keys that were not even my own. Could have saved myself. I could have used that time better. Amen. I did not redeem that time. That is not a good page on my record. I could have prioritized. I could have stripped things back and said, I don't have time for this. Your keys, you find them. No, that wouldn't have been very nice, would it? But I just didn't. I just completely lost my focus. You know, the enemy does not have to defeat you. He just has to distract you. Distract you from the race. Get distracted a little bit and carry on in a different line. And down the line, you're going to be in a completely different place than where you intended to be. Don't get distracted. Distract means you're not on the track anymore. And if you're in a race, there's one place you need to be, is the track. So don't get distracted. Same circumstances outside, what's going on inside is what's going to determine the outcome. Everybody here is taking up the same space, in the same city, on the same globe, under the same sky, with the same 24 hours. But not everybody has the same perspective. And there are people who are running right now because they see eternal perspective, and they see destiny, and they see purpose, and they see what a great God can do in them, and what extraordinary things can be done in ordinary people when we attach ourselves to the purpose of God. Worship team, come and join me. I'm